What is up, everyone? Riley here, and today I wanted to take a look with you guys at Dark Horse's new deluxe hardcover edition of Hellsing. Now, this is something I've been really excited about, so I'm excited to talk about it, excited to have it in my hands. But first, I want to talk about a couple things. Number one, big, huge shout out and thanks to Hugo, my newest subscriber on Patreon. Thanks so much for helping me out on there. Your contributions are going to help me to continue to make the best content I can on this channel. If you enjoy what I do here and would like to support me further, you can also check out my Patreon. The link's going to be down below. You'll have access, if you decide to join on there, to some extra content, some original reviews and other videos that I don't put on my channel, and some behind the scenes content and notes that I have for my videos before I make them and stuff like that. As well, I don't mention this on my channel, I always forget, but I am part of another channel, the Omnibus Collectors Network. And on that channel, every week, I join a group of other YouTubers and we talk about comics and manga, movies, video games, whatever's on our mind, and various different topics every week. There's multiple shows per week, so plenty of awesome content to check out. So if you enjoy what I do on this channel, please definitely check out the Omnibus Collectors Network. You'll enjoy what you see there as well, I guarantee it. And at this point, if you haven't hit the subscribe button for my channel here, please go ahead and hit that button. You'll be notified of all the exciting new video content that I put out every single week. Anyway, let's get into it. Let's talk about that Hellsing hardcover. So this is something that I have been looking way forward to ever since they first put out the solicit for this hardcover. Of course, this is the second series that Dark Horse has done these really nice hardcover editions for. The first series is Berserk, and I've got the newest volume. This is volume 5 of those hardcover editions. So you can take a look and just kind of get the idea of what these look like. So it has the faux leather appearance on the actual hardcover, the embossing on the cover and on the spine with all the information presented in nice red ink to kind of contrast against the black. And then they do each have this leaflet in the back that gives the story synopsis and information about the volume at hand, as well as the ISBN and stuff like that. And then each of these volumes have a parental advisory sticker, and then on the back there's also a sticker for the ISBN and barcode, and those are easily removed and do not tend to leave any sort of residue. So good on Dark Horse for that kind of stuff. Now, these hardcovers are about the size of a standard paperback of a Western comic. So just looking at it in comparison to this paperback I have right here of The Question, you can see that the hardcover is only a little bit wider, so about the same dimensions there. And then if we compare it to a standard volume of manga, so this would be like comparing to one of the original paperback volumes of Hellsing, you can see just how much larger these hardcovers are. And so that means that this artwork from these artists, when put in these massive hardcovers, is going to look that much better. We're going to be able to see that much more nuance in the detail of their art. Now, back when Dark Horse had first announced they were going to do the hardcovers for Berserk, one of the first thoughts on everyone's mind was, what other series could they possibly do this for? And at first, I know people were thinking it was just going to be a Berserk exclusive thing, but then not too long thereafter, we got the solicit for Hellsing, which was really exciting because one of the most popular series that I saw a lot of people saying they wish would get that same treatment was Hellsing. And I really agree with that idea because of a couple reasons. Number one, the original paperbacks have started to become really hard to track down. Several of them being rather expensive on second markets like Amazon or eBay. As well, like I mentioned, these volumes have the increased page size, so you can see a lot better the detail in artist's work that goes into these series. And of all the different manga that Dark Horse has, I believe Khota Hirano's artwork definitely benefits from having that increased page size. He has a very detailed and very ink-heavy style that the smaller pages are fine, but when you have the option to have it blown up, I'm definitely going to take that over the small graphic novel size of the original volumes. Now let's take a look at the volume itself and see how it compares to Berserk. So this one, kind of the opposite of the style of the Berserk one, where this one instead is primarily red, but it has the black embossing. All the highlights are in black here. So we have the title and Deluxe Edition on the cover in black. We have volume 1 and the creator name in black as well. And then on the spine, all of the markings on there are also embossed in black. And then we have an embossed cross on the front, similar to the curse symbol on the Berserk volumes, and then it also has the same stickers as the Berserk volume. As well, the hardcover of Hellsing has the same kind of leaflet in there that has the synopsis and all of the information about this book. And if Berserk is anything to go by, then each of these should basically be the exact same in all 3 of the volumes of Hellsing, just changing the number of which volume this is. Now let's take a look inside the volume real quick. So we have on the inside red end pages, and then going from the front, we get right into it, the title page, Hellsing Deluxe Edition, and then inside we have the credits page and then the table of contents showing us that this has the first 27 chapters of the series all collected under 1 volume. And then after that we get right into the story material. And then going from the back side, same deal, we've got the red end pages, and then after that it goes right into the story content, and after that last page of story content we have the creator profile page that talks about Hirano himself. Now, one thing that a lot of people have noticed as they've been grabbing these books is that there's no additional content. After that last page of story, there's no additional material, sketches, additional mini comics that are often presented at the end of manga, and I can tell you that the Hellsing paperbacks did have those as well. And it also does not include the original artwork from the paperback covers, those colored covers. That material should be in the 3rd hardcover. I say that with some confidence because the solicitation for the 3rd and final Hellsing hardcover did note that on top of the story material from volumes 8, 9, and 10, that it would also include all of the bonus content from all 10 volumes. I think that that's because the way that they've broken up the series into these 3 volumes, the final book was going to be a lot thinner as far as the material goes than the first 2. So they wound up padding it out with all of the extra material from those other volumes. And now let's also take a look at the spine, because that's always important, especially with these larger hardcover volumes. And on the spines of all of these deluxe hardcovers, we get a nice stitched binding with a great eye hole, so this will stay open no problem without any bad gutter loss. And you can see that even if I flip it towards the back or towards the front, it stays open with no problem, which is unlike larger glued hardcover volumes, like for instance DC's older omnibus or even some of their newer omnibus editions, where if you were to open it towards the front, it closes like a mousetrap. So that's really awesome. This means it's going to be a very easy reading experience as far as not having to worry about holding the volume open constantly. Now that we've taken a look at the book itself, let's talk about whether or not it's actually worth picking up. Now, there's a couple of aspects that are going to go into this, and I'll cover the easy stuff first. I know that a lot of people were concerned about getting into this one because getting into the Berserk hardcovers was a bigger investment. The Berserk series is, right now in the US, has 40 volumes. So that means that it was going to take 13 of those hardcovers just to get close to caught up with the releases. So it's a rather big and lengthy investment when you look at it like that. And so a lot of people who are not familiar with Hellsing were reaching out and asking and talking on Facebook and stuff that I had seen about whether this was going to be a similar kind of investment. And fortunately, this is a lot easier of an investment to make because Hellsing, as opposed to Berserk, is a completed series and it's only 10 volumes long. And they're only going to use 3 volumes of these hardcover editions to wrap up the entire series. So that said, not only is it a much shorter and much less expensive investment, but it's also one that's only going to take about a year for them to release the entirety of the series. And they've already solicited all 3 of those volumes, so you don't have to worry about them orphaning the project and leaving us hanging without the last volume or something like that. But what about the content of the series itself? I haven't talked about what Hellsing is about, and there's a lot of people who've never experienced it before. So the Hellsing series takes place in Europe and follows the Hellsing organization, which was started by Abraham van Helsing. Currently, the Hellsing organization is led by Sir Integra Fairbrook Wingates Hellsing, who took over the organization from her father whenever he died a pretty gruesome death in front of her, which changed her from being more of an innocent young girl into being the force to be reckoned with that she has become by the time that the series begins. Joining her in the Hellsing organization, we have her butler, Walter, and then of course we have the main primary character in the series, Alucard, who is the vampire that was defeated by Van Helsing 100 years prior to the series. When he was defeated by Van Helsing, Alucard vowed that he would work for the Hellsing family. So basically, in this series, they utilize him more or less as a weapon in their fight against other vampires, ghouls, goblins, whatever is out there that needs to be taken down. Now, as we go forward, we're introduced to a group called Millennium, who's actually a Nazi organization that's trying to bring back the Third Reich by using an army of vampire Nazis. Stay with me here. And then there's also the 13th section of the Vatican called Iscariot, named after Judas Iscariot. And between Iscariot, Millennium, and the Hellsing organization, we wind up seeing a giant war unfold dealing with ghouls, monsters, vampires, werewolves, zombies, and all kinds of stuff. And that's basically what Hellsing is. So it's a pretty simple concept. You have a giant war that's being fought on different sides by supernatural beings, essentially. And I feel like that description alone is enough to kind of know whether or not you're going to enjoy the series. If you hear that and you think, oh man, that sounds awesome, then you're probably going to enjoy Hellsing. But if you hear that and you roll your eyes, then it's probably not going to be for you. Now, I have to acknowledge the fact that I did read this back when I was in high school, and not to disparage my tastes when I was in high school or anything, but I think that a 14, 15-year-old boy in high school is a lot more open to thinking that something like vampires fighting Nazis is one of the most awesome things I've ever heard of. And to be fair, it still is a really awesome thing. But the reason I mention all of that is to say that I don't want people to go into this series expecting something super deep. It is basically what you get on the surface. There's not a lot of nuance in the plot or the characters. The series does contain plenty of references to history and science and literature, which is also seen from Hirano's other series, Drifters, but I just say all that to be clear on what anyone who's never read the series should expect, and not to let anyone go in with much higher expectations than what you should have. Now, I want to give some ideas on what to expect from the interior artwork and kind of just show how nice it looks on these oversized pages. These are going to be some gruesome action scenes and stuff, because I also want to highlight the type of material that you can expect from this series for anyone that hasn't read it before. Now, this is a good example of some of the detailed artwork and the action sequences from earlier in the series that Hirano does. Now, I also want to show a page that kind of expresses how dialogue heavy the series can be, and you can understand why it would benefit from having an increased page size. When you have so many word balloons as something like this, it makes sense to want to have more page so you're not trying to read tiny words in those balloons. And now here's also a page that shows some great action sequences and kind of displays the stark blacks as they are on the page and how ink heavy Khota Hirano's artwork is. And it just looks fantastic on these oversized pages like this. Now, another cool aspect about these books is in comparison to the Berserk hardcovers, where I would tell people if you're not completely into it after the first hardcover, you might want to try the second one out. This single hardcover here is the perfect amount to kind of show you whether or not you're going to be into Hellsing. If you decide to grab this book and by the time you finish this first hardcover you're not into it, don't go any further. You already know. This has almost half of the series in there, so you'll definitely have a good idea of whether or not you enjoy this series. But if you want another way that might be cheaper to kind of try out Hellsing and see if it might be for you, then I can also recommend you check out the Hellsing Ultimate Anime, which is available to watch on Hulu. The Hellsing Ultimate Anime is a one-for-one adaptation of the entire series. Each of the 10 episodes adapts one of the original volumes of the manga. So you can watch a couple episodes there, and if you like it, then chances are you're going to dig the manga, and I'll recommend you to pick it up. So that's going to wrap up our look at the Hellsing hardcover from Dark Horse. I'm really pleased with this release, and I cannot wait to have the whole series in these hardcovers. Now, as of now, the only other series, aside from Hellsing and Berserk, that's been announced to get these nice hardcovers from Dark Horse has been Blade of the Immortals. Now, I'm hoping that Dark Horse winds up making this more of a regular thing and starts releasing a lot more of their series in this format. Personally, I think the series that I would love to see from Dark Horse the most in this format would be Trigun and Trigun Maximum. I know that they got the omnibus paperback editions not that long ago, but I can definitely say that of all the different series that Dark Horse publishes, Trigun is probably the one that would benefit the most from having huge pages like these in these hardcovers. So what series from Dark Horse would you like to see next published in these deluxe edition hardcovers? Do you think that other publishers should also try to adapt some sort of edition like these? And what series from other publishers would you like to see in these hardcovers? I'd really like to know, so sound off in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching this video, and again, if you haven't subscribed yet to my channel, please click the subscribe button down below so you'll be notified for all the exciting new content that I put out every single week. Once again, I appreciate you watching. I hope this video was informative and entertaining, and I look forward to seeing all of y'all in the next one. Peace out.